Welcome to the deep dive. We know you want knowledge quickly without the overload.
Exactly.
So today we're giving you that shortcut, a statistical look at South Africa's journey from 1948 right up to 2024.
Yeah, we've sifted through 76 years of data. Economy, infrastructure, healthcare, security, living standards, the whole lot.
The idea is to pull out the key insights. We're drawing mainly from that International Affairs Quarterly Special Edition and some other bits.
Right. Giving you the big picture, fast.
Okay, let's get straight to it. The economy. It's been a real roller coaster, hasn't it? Starts strong after the war.
Very strong. Average growth hitting, nearly 6% between 48 and 59. Global demand for raw materials was huge then.
But that was during early apartheid, so those benefits weren't exactly shared equally.
Not at all. That's crucial context. Then things started to dip, say from the early 70s.
Down to like 3.8% average. What was going on there?
While you had the oil shocks hitting everyone, plus mounting international pressure against apartheid, sanctions started biting, and just the internal costs of the system. It all added up.
And the transition period, early 90s, growth practically flatlined. Around 1%.
Yeah, huge political uncertainty, sanctions still lingering, a really challenging time economically.
Which brings us almost to today. The last decade, 2014 to 2024, growth is below 1% average. Feels like stagnation.
It points to deep structural problems. The electricity crisis is a massive one. Policy uncertainty, high unemployment, corruption, mining's decline. It's a difficult mix.
Let's talk national debt. That's another key indicator. It started moderately.
Around 38% of GDP back in 48. It actually dipped quite low in the late 70s, about 25%. Probably helped by good gold prices then.
But the projection for 2024 is startling. Over 70% of GDP.
Alarmingly high, yeah. It raises real questions about fiscal sustainability.
It's behind that massive jump.
Increased borrowing, partly for social programs addressing past inequalities, propping up struggling state companies, and of course just weak economic growth not generating enough revenue.
Okay, shifting gears to infrastructure. Power generation saw huge growth for a while.
Oh, absolutely massive. From under 3,000 megawatts in 48 to nearly 36,000 by 1988, Eskom was building capacity for industry, for mining.
But then it just stopped ramping up. The increase since 88 seems tiny.
Pretty much stalled. Up to maybe 42,000 BW now. But demand hasn't stalled. So you get the reliability issues, the load shedding, aging plants, lack of investment.
And the railway network, I was surprised to see it actually got smaller.
Yeah, down from a peak of nearly 24,000 kilometers to about 18,000 now. That's not great for moving goods efficiently. Underinvestment again. Theft, issues at Transnet.
Let's touch on healthcare. The stats from 1948 show just shocking racial disparities. Hospital beds, doctors.
Stark differences. 8 beds per 1,000 for whites, 2 for blacks. Doctors per 100,000, almost 300 in white areas, under 30 in black areas. That's a huge inequality.
And now, in 2024, the overall number of beds per person has actually dropped.
Declined to about 2.1 nationally. Population growth outpaced capacity, plus financial constraints, the disease burden. It's a system under pressure. Doctor numbers are also low, especially in the public sector, around 80 per 100,000 nationally projected, but maybe only 48 in public service.
Security next. The murder rate is, it's extremely high.
It peaked around 98, nearly 59 for 100,000. That was a volatile time, the transition.
But it hasn't dropped that much since, has it? Still over 40 per 100,000 now.
Remains exceptionally high, yes. A persistent, serious challenge.
And police effectiveness seems to have really declined. Case solve rates.
Plummeted. From over 90% in the late 40s down to maybe 29% today. And urban response times have gone from minutes to nearly an hour. Diminished capacity is clear.
Looking at living standards, vehicle ownership for Black South Africans improved since 1980, but there's still a big gap compared to, say, Black Americans.
Yes, an improvement from 1 car per 39 families to 1 per 5.2, but still lagging. Interestingly, homeownership for Black South Africans actually fell from 64% in 1980 to about 43% in 2022.
That is counterintuitive. What about basic services like electricity and water?
Some definite bright spots there. Electrification in urban townships went from 45% in 1980 to over 90% by 2022. Major progress.
And water access?
Big gains, too. Urban up from 75% to nearly 90%. Rural areas saw a huge jump from 28% to 63%. Still a gap between urban and rural, but significant improvement.
Something else that shifted was South Africa's role in foreign aid.
Yeah, pre-1994, quite active regionally in humanitarian aid. Post-1994, the focus shifted much more domestically. Aid budgets and capacity dropped significantly, maybe up to 80%.
Quick recap on crime stats, murder rate comparison, 94 to now.
Still persistently high, unfortunately. Around 67 per 100,000 in 94, and actually a bit higher, maybe 72 in 2022 data. Home invasion is also a major concern, especially in urban areas today.
And education. We know spending was wildly unequal under apartheid.
Massively so. In 1980, figures adjusted maybe R56,000 per white student versus R6,200 per black student. While overall literacy is up nationally to at 87%, functional literacy is lower, around 66%, still grappling with the legacy.
So wrapping this 76-year statistical snapshot up, what's the main takeaway here?
It's a really complex story, isn't it? You see periods of growth, but often built on deep inequality. Then the struggles of transition and these persistent challenges now in the economy, vital infrastructure like power, healthcare, security, they're all tied together.
Definitely interconnected. Okay, here's something for you to think about after this. Considering everything we've touched on, if you could magically fix one of these statistical areas, just one, which one do you think would create the biggest positive ripple effect for South Africa's future? Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this Step Dive.